Welcome everyone to the CRCC Asia webinar with the University of Wisconsin Madison. Thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Jenny Miller and I work with the University Relations team here with CRCC Asia in our San Francisco office. So I imagine most of you are logged in from Wisconsin, so welcome. Hopefully you had a great day. I know it's midterm season, so I'm going to go through some information with you tonight and this evening, talking about who CRCC Asia is, what are the international internship opportunities in China. You'll get to hear from UW-Madison alumni and then hopefully answer some of your guys' questions. So I'm going to switch over my screen right now to a brief PowerPoint and we can go right in. Well, as I said, welcome. Thanks for logging in to CRCC Asia's webinar with the University of Wisconsin Madison. Essentially, this is just an online information session giving you guys and students an opportunity to hear a little more about what it would be like to go and intern in China and how do you even go about doing that. So that's what we're going to talk about in the next 20-30 minutes. As I mentioned, my name is Jenny Miller. I'm the head of the University Relations team here with CRCC Asia in our US office, which is based in San Francisco. If you apply to the program, you'll work really closely with our team here in San Francisco with your application. And then we have an alumni as well who unfortunately had a sudden work-related meeting that he had to meet with, so couldn't join today, but he did give me a pre-recorded video that I'll be sharing. But the alumni from UW-Madison, his name is Drew Gabbert, and Drew actually now works for a finance firm in Austin, Texas. But he graduated from UW-Madison a few years ago and participated in our program in Shanghai in 2013. He studied international studies and Chinese, and he did a 3-month China Internship Program in Shanghai. But you'll hear a little more from him in a bit. So the next few minutes, we're gonna obviously go through a brief introductions, share a little history about UW-Madison and CRCC Asia's relationship with UW-Madison and the International Center there. You'll get to hear from Drew and a little more about his experience. And then I'll go through a brief introduction of what is CRCC Asia and what does it look like to participate in our China Internship Program. And please be submitting your questions throughout. In the right-hand side of the Google Hangout, you can submit your questions as well, and I'll be happy to answer them then. So a little about UW-Madison. Maybe some of you already know this information, or maybe this is new to you. UW-Madison is a leader of several areas academically, but specifically when it comes to sending students to go and study and have international experiences abroad. Based upon the most recent statistics and study that they did in 2012-2011, they were ranked number 6 among US universities and colleges in sending the amount of students abroad. So your institution has a long history and pride themselves on sending students abroad to have international experiences, which is fantastic. Something that maybe is new to you is that China is actually the 2nd most popular destination for those students who were going abroad. So although China sometimes can be somewhat scary, the language barrier, or maybe you've never explored Asia before, maybe thinking, oh, I want to go and study or intern in Europe. But China, if you're reading anything in the news, China is one of the fastest growing countries in the world. And obviously UW-Madison students back in 2012, 2013 are pursuing opportunities in China as well. So don't rule it out just yet. We work very closely with the International Internship Program office, and they're familiar with us and our team in CRCC Asia. So do check them out. They're a great resource. They also can give you information about how you can earn credit for an internship abroad, as well as other funding and resources as well. So please do look into them as well if you have questions. And as for CRCC and our relationship with UW-Madison, over the years, we continually recruit students from Madison to participate on our program, and currently we have 10 alumni who have participated, Drew being one of them. So a little about Drew. We have a short little video for you guys to hear about his experience in Shanghai. But the pictures here on the left, he was able to do some traveling as well. There was a brief holiday during his program, so he got to have a time to explore outside of Shanghai, but then also on the weekends, as your time is free on the weekends. But let me just play this video and you can hear from him directly.
Hi, my name is Drew Gabbard, and I participated in CRCC in the fall of 2013. I had an internship at CRCC Asia, a media and publishing company responsible for City Weekend Magazine and Shanghai Family Magazine. I worked with another CRCC intern, and daily we worked with the marketing group. I was responsible for branding, digital marketing tasks, market research, event planning, and event management. Daily, obviously, with any new job, you're going to have your ups and downs, but overall, it was a really fantastic experience. We had a lot of great times with our marketing group, and we were afforded a lot of benefits of working with a cultural magazine that highlights a lot of great things going on in the city. We also got to experience a lot of great things on the weekends. We had a week off where we got to explore a bit more of China. Overall, it was a really fantastic experience that I really valued.
A little more about what Drew, hopefully you enjoyed that video. And Drew is a great resource if you do have questions. You can contact San Francisco at crccasia.com. And we're always happy to connect you with alumni so you can hear directly from them about their experience. But a little more about what Drew had shared with me. Again, he apologizes he couldn't make it to the webinar today. But he said that working in a new position is always hard, especially when it's in a new country. It adds a whole new dynamic. But his experience in Shanghai helped him grow both professionally and personally. And I'm really happy I participated. After 12 short weeks, he left Shanghai with great work experience and lasting friendships. This picture here in the bottom left is his coworkers with that PR and that marketing firm that worked with a cultural magazine, as he mentioned in that video. So he got to hang out with his colleagues, get to learn a little more about the work environment in China, a little more about PR and advertising as well as marketing, but then also publications, as he was working with a magazine who is a client of Ringular. And then this picture on the right is him exploring the cities. And this picture actually is in Beijing. So it seems he got to go and explore Beijing at one point as well, although he was working in Shanghai. So that's another kind of cool thing about when you're thinking about doing an internship abroad. Obviously, you want to think about your professional goals, but also ways that you can travel and explore a country and learn about the culture while you're there as well. A little about CRCC Asia and what our internship program consists of. So we work with over 500 different host companies throughout China. We've been around since 2006, establishing those relationships with a variety of sectors and companies in these 4 locations: Shanghai, Shenzhen, which is in southern China, right outside of Hong Kong, Beijing, and then Hong Kong. Hong Kong's our newest location. We opened last year. Where the others, we've been around for several years now. We've sent over 4,000 students to China since 2008, and consistently are sending about 2,000 students a year. So in a lot of ways, you're in a cohort of students from potentially UW-Madison, but other students from Penn State, University of Michigan, UT Austin, students from the UK, Europe, Australia. So you get to meet other students from around the US, but also around the world in one of these locations. Each city obviously has its different cultural dynamics and nuances, just like any city in the US. It would be very different from Madison to San Francisco. So Shanghai versus Shenzhen is very different. Shanghai is very metropolitan, kind of your New York City of Shanghai. It has over 600,000 expats, so incredibly international. Shenzhen, as I said, is in southern China, and that is really the San Francisco of China. It's the new Silicon Valley. It's where a lot of IT and engineering and innovation and green technology is coming out of China. And the government is doing a lot of great economic development there as well. Beijing, the capital, the history, the kind of the arts and the politics as well, with the consulates being there and the embassies. So that is really a great location if you're looking for more of a cultural experience. As for sectors, Beijing is great for those poli-sci students. It's great for also international affairs, international studies. If you are studying Chinese, this is another great location, but it also is great for marketing, for business students, for architecture and media and publications as well. And then Hong Kong is going to be the most Western type of experience going to China. Hong Kong is a very dense city, large population, but incredibly modern. Sectors there that are really popular with our host companies, our students, our logistics, with it being really close to the port. You have IT, is also business and finance, architecture, and I'll get into a little more about our sectors as well. But those are the 4 locations that we send students to. What's included in the program? It's a comprehensive program, so there is a fee to the program, just like any study abroad program. And what that all includes is you are guaranteed an internship in the sector of your choice. So we ask that you select the sector of your preference. And in our interview process, we're going to ask a little more about what you're looking for, your background, and then if accepted, you're guaranteed an internship in that sector. You do not have to have the language requirement. So Drew was studying Chinese, but 90% of our students have no formal Mandarin background. So don't let that discourage you from going to China. We do all the visa processing for you, so that way you can go and work in China. There's sufficient and hands-on pre-departure assistance to make sure that you feel really prepared and all your questions are answered before you get there. Once you're on the ground, we have a variety of events and programming for you, so that way not just the internship, but you get to meet other interns. We have over 40 staff in China who are there with you in each location, working with the events, but also the host companies to make sure your internship is going properly and doing check-ins. One of the things that is included is the airport pickup. So we pick you up at your airport, greet you to make sure everything you got in okay, and then we take you to your accommodations, which is also included in the program. You'd live with 1 or 2 other interns of the same sex, but you have your own bedroom, and then you share kitchen, living, and bath. These are pictures from actually our Shanghai accommodations, so very modern, Western. We treat our program as you as a professional working in Shanghai or Shenzhen or Hong Kong. And so we want you to feel like you're outside of college and a real working adult. The first day, first full day upon arrival, is we have a all-day induction day and kind of an orientation to teach you your first Mandarin lesson, give you some insight into cultural norms, into the workplace in China and how those are different from a Western perspective. It gets you an opportunity to meet other interns and people on the program, so you can make some friends and maybe coordinate some travel plans while you're visiting China. The weekends you have free, and then your first Monday that you would start your internship, we actually drop you off at your host company and introduce you to your supervisor, make sure you get acquainted and settled. But then from there on, you'll find your way from the accommodation or apartment to your host company. It's all centrally located to public transportation, and we give you insight and a guide as to how to do that. But the first one is just to get you started and make sure that your first day goes smoothly. There are Mandarin classes built into the program. Those are one night a week for about an hour and a half, and they're beginner and intermediate level. So again, majority of our students are not coming in with any formal background of Mandarin. If you do have that, fantastic, but it's not required. And these classes are to help you kind of get some basic backbone of Mandarin. On a weekly basis, we host social business or networking events. The KTV or karaoke night is always a hit, where we rent out a karaoke room and students have a fun evening together. Another event that we host is the China Business Seminar, where we bring in an executive or director level from one of our host companies to talk about their experience working in China. Many times they're an expat themselves, so they'll talk about some of that cultural differences that they've experienced. They'll get an insight, and you'll get insight into kind of what's happening in their business and their sector, how is China growing, and what they attribute it to. So this is always a highlight for students as well. The other event that we have is our Community Outreach Day, which is held on a Saturday, and that's where we go and volunteer with local NGOs and organizations. Primarily with a after-school program and a migrant children's center, where students get to see a little more outside the hustle and bustle of the city. So many of you are probably asking, what type of internships are available, what type of companies, and how does that all work? This is just a snapshot of some of the host companies that we work with. Again, it's over 500 across multiple sectors. Sectors like engineering, business, finance, marketing, architecture, NGOs, legal, media and creative industries, you name it. No matter what major you are, a good indication we'll probably be working with a company that's related to your interest. But a few on here that you can see, CBRE is actually a real estate firm based out of Los Angeles. It's the largest real estate firm in the United States, and they operate globally as well. And so that's one of the students who are looking at business development or real estate. CBRE is a fantastic placement. Obviously, Lenovo is very common, great place for some engineers. Diageo is a British company. They actually own Guinness and Snapple. So they also have several kind of local beverages in China that our interns go and work for them as well. We partner with a variety of institutions as well. As I mentioned, we're familiar with the International Internship Program office at UW-Madison. We are not a recognized provider for them, but they do know of us. So if you do have questions about them, about us, you can definitely use them as a resource to hear a little more from their perspective. But we do partner with institutions like UT Austin, University of Michigan, Michigan State, to build out programs specifically for their students to do a cohort in the summer months. You can go on our website, www.crccasia.com, and we have over 400 different testimonials, video and written, from students who've done our program in the past. So you can hear more from students around the world, the US, other than Drew, to hear about what their program was like, or what sector and internship they did, and what kind of projects they worked on. Outside of the internship, we do have a few other programs. We have the Chinese language program for those who do want to kind of develop their language skills and become a little more fluent. This is a 1, 2, or 3 month program like our internship programs, which are always 1, 2, or 3 months long. But this is going to be more intensive classes where you're studying Chinese full time as opposed to interning. Our business and finance course is a really a great program. This is already, this is only a 2-week program where we partner with KPMG and Lehman Brown and a few other local Chinese investment and financial firms to talk about trends in M&A, venture capital, China's currency policy, and investment opportunities for those students who are pursuing a degree or a long-term career in finance and business. And then the last program is our travel program, which is a 20-day backpacking tour around China that a lot of students take advantage of following their internship to travel around the country and see a little more of the kind of off the beaten path. And then the last one is actually a semester-based study plus internship program. This is a new program that we are just launching in January with East China Normal University in Shanghai. It's a 15-week study and internship program where students will take 4 courses or 15 hours and 15 hours of internship each week. So you would dual class plus working, so you get the best of both worlds. Courses include things like business, economics, politics, sociology, psychology, culture, philosophy. So a variety of courses you can choose from and work with CRCC Asia and UW-Madison to make sure they transfer back to your institution. It includes the 12 credit hours plus your accommodations at East China Normal, Mandarin lessons, airport pickup, weekly events, and orientation like our internship orientation, the internship placement, and then visa processing. Well, I'm going to switch it off and see if you guys have any questions. On the right-hand side of the Hangout, you can see a place where you can submit your questions. And then as you guys are doing that, I will share how do you apply, what next if you're interested. It's really simple. It's about a 15 to 20-minute application where you just go to our website and click the right hand button that says apply. It's going to ask you to upload your resume. We're going to ask a few questions about what type of internship you're looking for, your background. After we review your application, we're set up an advising kind of interview call, again, to just review that application, hear a little more about what type of program you're looking for, which city and which kind of intern and companies you're looking for, so that way we can best place you based upon your preferences. You can always follow us on social media. Our YouTube channel has a variety of videos. This one here is going to be uploaded to YouTube later this week. So if you are tuning in, maybe you watched it through YouTube as well. But do follow us on social media to hear more from alumni like Drew. So let me switch it off and see if you guys have any questions. Some questions that a lot of students ask is, what happens after my interview? Which is a great question. So after we review your application and our admissions team has that advising and interview call with you, we're going to take all those interview notes, your resume and your application, and we send it on to our teams in China. So say you wanted to go to Beijing, we'd send it to our teams in Beijing, and they're the ones who have the ongoing relationships with the host companies, and then they're going to submit that information to the host companies based upon your preference, and then work with them to make sure your placement is according to your background and your kind of expertise, but then also your interests. Ultimately, it is up to the host company if they accept you or not, just like any internship here in the US. It is, the host companies are looking for qualified applicants, but the great thing is that even if you're a freshman or you're a senior with 3 internships in your belt, there's a variety of projects that, that companies are looking for, no matter what level of coursework you've taken or the level of work experience you've had. We've had a lot of freshmen that do our program because they find that this gives them a leg up for when they want to get an internship back in the US their sophomore year. After that kind of placement process happens, our team here in San Francisco will notify you of the placement that you have been accepted to and which company has agreed to host you as an intern. And you find that out about 6 to 8 weeks before departure. So proper time for you, you'll get a host company information sheet that tells you about your host company, your job description, so you can start prepping beforehand so you can hit the ground running. Again, if you have questions, please submit them into the question on the right-hand side, and I'll be sure to answer them. Other questions that students typically ask us is, what is the accommodations like? Is it a dorm? Is it an apartment? As I said, it is an apartment. It's very Western style. It's a kind of a hotel that or apartment extended stay. So you have the same amenities as a hotel, a front desk. You have access to gym and pool. It's centrally located to public transportation, so that way you can get to and from work quickly. The commute time is typically around 30 to 45 minutes, which is quite standard in any large city. But all CRCC Asia interns and participants are all housed in the same building. So you might be living with 2 other interns, but you'd all be in the same kind of buildings. That way it creates somewhat of a community, so you guys can make friends easily. You can hang out after work, go for drinks, go for dinner after, or coordinate to go and do the Mandarin lesson together, which students really like. And you get to meet students, like I said, from all over the world. It's not just US students doing the program, but students from the UK, from Europe, Australia, New Zealand. So that's really cool. The other thing that we get is that if you're a Chinese national and could you do our program? Absolutely. About 10% actually of Chinese nationals who are studying here in the US tend to want to go back to China, and they're looking for kind of an in with a variety of companies and that networking opportunity. So they participate in our program. And so if you're a Chinese national, don't feel like you can't apply to the program. Well, I thank everyone for logging in and listening more about our program. If you do have questions, please feel free to email sanfrancisco@crccasia.com. We also have a live chat on our website, so at any point, if you have a question that might come to you after watching this video, feel free to go onto our live chat and ask away. But thank you again for taking time out of your evening and watching us, and hope to see your application come through soon. Thank you.